This is my Timberking 1220. I've had it for, I guess, maybe 3 years, something like that. Anyways, it has a tow package. Had the tow package when I bought it. I bought it off a guy who lived about 6 hours away from me, so I drove to get it. He bought it brand new, so it was one owner before me. I think it's like an 06. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So I made a couple changes to it. I kind of walk you through it best I can without rambling. I used to use it on the ground, as it originally comes. I actually did quite a bit of work with it like that. But you crank it all day long and your arm would get tired. And it was a pain in the ass if you ever want to transport it. You had to jack it up and slide the wheels out from under it. Anyone that has it, has one that has a highway package knows it's not the greatest. So basically what I did was I just upgraded it to the 1400. Has the two hydraulic functions, the head up and down and the travel down the travel up and down the track. I didn't want to pay $14,000 for a 1400, so whatever the hell it cost. So I just did it myself. Paid $4,500 originally for it, and the guy I think had like 9 in it. So I got a good deal originally, and it's done. It's a great sawmill. Starts every time I want to use it. I would recommend Timberking to anyone that wants to use it. To anyone who's thinking about getting a sawmill. So I guess we'll start here. This is the cockpit, I guess, if you will. It's a 2-spool valve, with 2 hydraulic functions. It's just a Prince. I think Northern Tool sells it. I bought this one off eBay. It was $150. The oil filter on the outside between the valve and the tank. It's a twist-on type. Into my outlines. I ran my into my outlines through this main beam here to get them over to the other side because that's where the pump's connected. I'll take you over to the pump. Oh yeah, when I added the hydraulic features, I added these 4. This one's twisted up right now, but I added these 4 jacks permanently so I can level it, pull up and just level it like all the other Timberkings. Before you had to take them off and on, and it's a pain in the ass. So ignore the shooting in the background. Try to talk over it. This is the this hydraulic pump. I took the electric clutch off. It was really simple to do. I slid the clutch off, put the smallest pulley I could find. It's a 1-inch straight shaft with a 1/4-inch key. That's a 1-inch pulley, I guess. 2-inch pulley, 3-inch, I don't know. And I think it goes to a 5 or 6 on this pump. And this hydraulic pump come out of an old Ford F-250, an '88 Ford F-250, but it's just a standard plow pump. I think it's 7 gallons a minute, 7 or 8. This is a hydraulic tank. I think it's an old gas tank off something I found in the woods. I sandblasted it and painted it. The battery used to sit over here. So I moved it over here, and I put a full car-size battery in it because it was always friggin' dying on me. And like I said, I ran the hydraulic in and out from the pump right to here, right through the main beam over to the other side where you saw before. I had to add this sprocket, the bearing and the shaft. And it runs over to here, and the same thing on the other side. So that I added for the travel up and down the track. So the only things I had to buy really were the valve and the 2 hydraulic motors. I think I got them out of Surplus Center. I think they were 450 RPM. I tried to get slow RPM. My battery died, so I'll have to patch it together. But like I was saying, I got these are like 400 RPM or something. There's one here, and that's for the up and down of the head. There's another one right here, and this is for the travel of the carrot, the head up and down the track. I put a little flow control valve in there to kind of control the speed, but I really don't need it. It's actually good where it is, because when I first mounted this one, I had a 12-tooth pulley on it. Now it's a 24, because I had to speed it up a little bit. It was actually too slow, which is, I guess, good. Because the motor has a lot of torque. They're a low RPM, high torque hydraulic motor. It goes from a 24 to a 32, and then from a 32 back down to a 18, I think these are. And so what I did is I had to put a threaded rod that, you know, I had to mount a whole nother rod that spanned the two, because each side, before, it had a hand crank cable, and the cable was connected to the end of the track, and I replaced it with a chain. And the chain runs from that one end all the way up. It goes around these sprockets, goes up to that, back down around the other side, down to the other sprocket, which is this one, and it goes all the way up the track. It does on both sides, and it bolts in front, and I have a little bit of adjustment with the threaded, but the chain goes all the way down the track on both sides. And I bought that off Amazon. It was like 10 bucks for 10 feet. I don't know how, it's a number 40 chain. I don't know how you can beat that price. I don't even know how they could sell it for that cheap. So I had like 40 feet. I put a little damper on there to keep the rain out. Like I said, it came with a highway package. So the highway package includes the tires, which is a torsion bar, not leaf springs, the tongue, and then the 4 jacks. The 4 jacks weren't where I have them now. They were up here. There was 2 on this side, 2 on that side. You jack the whole thing up, slid the wheels out from underneath, and then set the whole thing on the ground. And in my other video of me sawing that big oak log, it's sitting on the ground, so you can see one versus the other. So like I said, the trickiest part for me was welding these, finding fittings to weld onto this tank, because this tank's really thin, and I had to use a neighbor's, I only have a stick welder, and I used a neighbor's MIG welder with argon. You know, I set it to thin, and then I ended up putting some, and it was sealed, pretty much watertight, but I ended up putting some like PC metal, it's called. It's kind of like a JB weld around it, just to really, you know, lock it in. And then I made this little tray. I actually had to weld this whole 1/4" plate on, you know, with a little eye bolt with a wire that goes up over the top, and that's how I hold that on. So, like I said, I don't know if I'm leaving anything out here. I got I had the sprockets laying around. They're all snowblower sprockets. This shaft is a 1-inch keyed shaft, come out of a go-kart. Same with this, no, all the sprockets come out of a snowblower. The shaft come out of a go-kart. The bearings come out of a garage door opener. I didn't really have to change anything on the one that is originally on the 1220, the one that raises and lowers the head. Well, the only thing I did do is I put a bigger sprocket on, because I was afraid, I wanted it to go really slow, the adjustment, so I could really tune it in and I didn't want it to zip by, you know, on my ruler here. I didn't want it to zip up and down too fast, and I couldn't hit what I was aiming for. So I put a real small 12-tooth sprocket on this motor, and I think that's like a 52-tooth sprocket on that, so it's really geared down. And I did the math originally because the pump that I put on, like I said earlier, come out of a plow truck. I think it's rated for 7 gallons a minute. Those motors are rated for 400 RPM at like 18 gallons a minute. So it's 7 gallons a minute. You cut it in half. Actually, you cut it more than half. It's 2.5. You divide it by 2.5 because the pump's automatically getting 2.5 times less fluid pumping through it, because the pump volume isn't as much as these are rated for. Which also, you're not going to get as much torque, but I wasn't really worried so much about it, because this sawmill is designed to be lowered and raised with your hand and pushed down the track and back with your hand by hand power. So it really wasn't a lot of torque we were playing with in the first place. So my control panel, you can see I kind of had to do a little funky mount. I mounted it out so my chain could come up through here. This is my throttle control, up and down. My PTO, off and on. That's how I control my blade, off and on. So I don't have to be reaching up here, doing throttle, doing my blade off and on, doing my, you know, because now it sits automatically, I think, 15 inches higher off the ground, because when I put the jacks on, it raised the whole thing up 15 inches higher, which is nice, because now you don't have to be bent over on the ground rolling your logs and shit over. It's up kind of at you know, waist height. You can see it's at my, it's up to my knee now. So, and then this thing I just kind of threw together to help load logs. It's just a piece of pipe with a winch on it, and what I do is actually has a battery option, but I don't use it. I just pull this out and I go over, I go around my log and then back up and I hook it to my deck. And then when I winch it, it pulls the log right up on. So that's handy when I don't have my tractor to, you know, if I'm on a job site and I have to roll it on my hand. It's 15-foot bed. I got a 12-foot log. I want to put another extension on. I'll probably make an extension for it. You can buy one, but they're like $800. The jacks came with the highway package and they were too long to begin with, so what I had to do is I had to cut some length off the bottom here, and I had to move this pivot. It was like down here. It was actually way down here, so I had to move it up to here, which is no big deal. I mounted all the jacks. Had to put the 2x2 cross member in, and I mounted all the jacks in like half a day, so that was easy. But I did this all late winter, you know, when there was nothing else to do. I just went in the garage and did it, took it apart, cleaned it all. You know, I really wanted to go through it anyways. Yeah, so I guess that's it. There's, like I said, the chain travels. That's the drive motor. Drives that, and it goes to that. That's the drive motor. Drives that pulley, drives that pulley, and then it drives that chain on that side, and it drives this chain on this side. That rod comes all the way across and it drives this. And I probably didn't have to do the chain on both sides, but I really, because I noticed I have it on the bigger mills, and it you know, it really is a better thing to have, because before, if I can explain it best I can, before the wire's only pulling on the left side here, so the right side would kind of want to wag and kind of keep up with it if you were going through a log, and it you know, and it just wasn't ideal. So I just figured while I'm doing it, I'll just throw the rod across the top, come over here and put chain drive on both sides. Now they both travel parallel up and down the track, back and forth. Got a car battery in it now. I think that's like a 3 or 4 gallon hydraulic tank. Oh, and this I threw together in a couple hours. It's a log return. You guys see it pins up out of the way when I'm not using it. But it kind of drags down the log, and when you get to the end, it catches the log or the board that you just cut and pulls it back. So it's a cool option to have, I guess. Yeah, so I guess I'll put some pictures on the end of this video too of some close-up stuff, and if you guys have any questions, that, you know, specifics, whatnot, you know, shoot me a comment or an email or whatever, and I'd love to answer your question. Best I can anyways, at least I can tell you what I did. But it works great. I sawed quite a bit of wood with it as it is now. It's slick. You pull up, you level it with the 4 jacks and you're sawing, you know what I mean? And it's a lot easier on the arms. You know, you just stand here and do these two levers. But anyway, I'm rambling now, so I'll show you a video of it going up and down, traveling, and then I'll include some pictures of some close-up stuff. So, thanks.